Let's take a look at the big picture this afternoon and give you a full breakdown of what's happening going forward. First, we've got this weakness, this pocket of energy in the upper air levels that's helping to overturn the atmosphere and spreading some heavier rains across these coastal communities. While we've got a cool pocket of energy that's draped across portions of New England, that's actually spreading some wet snowflakes across portions of Vermont and New Hampshire and portions into Maine. While much of the country is underneath that ridge of high pressure, a lot of sinking air and a lot of dry air for the good part of the country, while we are waiting for our next storm system that's really starting to build across the west, that will be a major player as we go deeper into next week. So let's take a look at the setup going forward on the surface map. You can really kind of see what's happening. There's the heavier rains that draped across portions of I-10 and I-20 corridor. There's the wet snow showers that are impacting portions of Vermont and New Hampshire this afternoon. We also have an area of disturbed weather down there in the Western Caribbean. The National Hurricane Center now gives it a 70% probability. This, in fact, could be our next storm, and Jamaica needs to be on high alert with this particular tropical system heading their way. We also have two pieces of pocket of energy, one off the west coast and another more significant player up further north towards that's coming out of the Aleutian Islands. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel, and I would love to reach 225,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you can help me get there by subscribing to the channel and following all my daily content. So here's the setup for the next 2 days. So there's, with that stalled frontal boundary and that weakness in the upper levels, that is helping to spread some heavier rains down in deep South Texas. We're talking places like Laredo, into the Brownsville region, into Corpus Christi, up here towards the Houston Metroplex, swinging over to Lake Charles, into Baton Rouge, into New Orleans. And if we swing into the southeast, that just extends all the way into portions of Pensacola region, up here and towards the Florida Panhandle, all the way through Florida into Orlando, back into the Tampa region, back into the Palm Beach region, into Miami, and back into Fort Lauderdale. So yes, very heavy rain. Of course, the further south you live, the heavier rain you will get along the coast there. And up north, there is the snow showers. It's not much, but again, we could be seeing a dusting or maybe an inch or two in these snow showers that are unfolding right now, which will extend into tomorrow. So if you live in the upstate New York region, back into Vermont, New Hampshire, and portions of Maine, don't be surprised if you see some snowflakes that start falling out of the sky there. But look at the big picture. So we've got this piece of energy that will be coming across, moving across the Gulf of Mexico. That will be spreading the heavier rains into Florida. That will actually go back out into over the waters into the off the southeast coast, and eventually head up the east coast, spreading some heavier rains while we're waiting for this more significant storm system that will be entering good part of the west coast. That will be spreading some much needed rain, some welcome rains back into central California and eventually into southern California there. But look, underneath that ridge of high pressure, a lot of heat for this time of year. That's plenty of unseasonably type warm weather for a good part, really all of this week. So it's going to be plenty warm. But there are signs, there's subtle signs of change. You'd have to go north of Alaska. They've had record snow lately in Alaska, and this pocket of cold air just north of Alaska has got to travel over that pocket of cold air. That is going to play a key role towards your Thanksgiving and bring definitely some colder weather going to be on the table. So going forward, here's the setup for this weekend. So this is this weekend for Saturday. We've got that storm system that was over the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's swinging out into the southeast. Will be racing up the coast, elongated along off the coast into the Carolinas, spreading those heavier rains back into North Carolina, into Virginia. This will spread up into New Jersey, up into portions of Rhode Island, into Connecticut, Nantucket, especially going into Maine. Some of this will combine with this cool pocket of air that's coming southbound, kind of little clipper system that will be spreading some possibly more snow showers in its wake across those northern areas into Vermont, New Hampshire, and back into Maine. While we're still watching the ones off the West Coast, while much of the country is pretty clear, right? So looking at the extended view, this is what we have, right? So we got this dry air sinking south, and you've got that pocket of energy that's coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. So yes, all the instability is really going to be draped across these coastal areas with that heavier rain, with that low pressure center, likely by Saturday timeframe off the Long Island coast there, while much of the Western Caribbean should be on high alert with that tropical type entity, with likely some very heavy rains across portions of Jamaica into the Dominican Republic, while this storm system out west will now be starting to impact portions of Nevada, into portions of Utah, getting into Arizona by then. But look at the jet stream, right? Look at the jet stream going by Sunday. This sinks all the way south. That clears the runway. That tells the cold air that was north of Alaska, it's got opportunity. It's got an open door to sink all the way southbound, because the jet stream is able to buckle and dip. So that's going to allow that colder air kind of send a signal and say, hey, the door's open. You just got to come this way. And that's exactly what's going to happen as we get into towards your Thanksgiving. So before that, we're going to have to deal with that piece of energy that's coming out of California, and will now be swinging across the central US. So by Sunday, we're going to add some instability back in the atmosphere, likely some rains coming back in the picture late in the day for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the Oklahoma region. We'll have a low pressure center that's going to be forming over the Four Corners regions of the Oklahoma Panhandle up here towards Kansas. Some of those could actually be on the strong, possibly severe side, as this will continue to move eastbound. And as it does, as it shifts further off into the east, remember, that's got that cold air coming on the backside. So now we're talking snow back in the picture again for portions of the Denver region into the Colorado Springs region, as that rain will be spreading eastward now into Arkansas, back into Louisiana, where they desperately need more rain, into Mississippi, and back into the Alabama region. But look at the two pockets of energy, right? So first, you got that initial, I call it the 1-2 punch. You got one pocket of energy. We already had the jet streams shifting further south, right? That sent the signal that cold air is allowed to sink southbound. And that's exactly what's going to happen for that first initial cold front. Not as cold, but first initially cool the atmosphere, while the second one has starting to build up legs and starting to pull that pocket of cold air out of Canada, now dropping it into the United States as we get into that Tuesday, November the 21st timeframe. So it's going to split up in two pockets of cold air. First one is up here towards the Great Lakes. That'll swing into the Ohio Valley. And the second piece of energy is further south, down into Texas, into Oklahoma. These two pockets of energy will combine and join forces and drag that colder air further south and shift eastward by the time we get into your Thanksgiving. So it's a big deal, because there's a lot of travel, busiest travel day of the season coming up for Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. So a lot of people are going to be flying by plane and driving by car. So this is going to be, a pretty good cold front, considering what you're going to be seeing this week, pretty abnormally seasonal conditions, to that powerful cold front that's going to be coming in next week. So as we go into next week, and as we go into, say, Wednesday night into your Thursday for your Thanksgiving, yeah, it could be cold enough where it could start to snow in portions of the upper Great Lakes, cross portions, I would say, West Virginia, maybe portions of Pennsylvania, upstate New York, back into the New England region, as that cold air is allowed to dip. So right now, the way it looks, you've got that initial cold front coming through, and these are temperatures, possibly maybe high temperatures, that Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and likely even a little bit colder for your Thanksgiving. So it's going to be hard pressed. You won't even get out of the 20s all day long for parts of Iowa, getting into Illinois, up here to across portions of Minnesota into Wisconsin. Those 30s dip as far south as Missouri, those highs in the 40s for Oklahoma, and then it's struggling to get to 50 degrees, say in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you know, by then, as that colder air will continue to push southbound and the air mass gets colder towards that Thanksgiving time frame. But overall, here's your overall snow between now and the next 10 days. So we're going to have those several pockets of energy that's come across. Remember, there's not much cold air to speak of this week. So this is likely most of next week, besides those snow showers I showed you for Vermont and New Hampshire. This second piece of energy is going to be building the snowpack across the Intermountain West, bring back the snows for the Colorado Springs region, the Denver region, and spreading some of those light to moderate snows across portions of New England. But the big player is all the rain that's going to be coming in. So first, you've got that significant storm system that's going to be coming in off the West Coast. Starts on the 15th, goes through about the 19th, so about the 4-day time span. This is what it's going to amount to. The heavier rains across our coastal regions in Washington and Oregon, Northern California. But this time now it sinks into central California, back into Southern California, and that will spread into the desert Southwest, and then eventually spread into portions of New Mexico. And then, yes, you'll have that second piece of energy where that lift mechanism is likely going to be east of the I-35 corridor, which the more heavier rains, East Texas, but especially into the southeast here, Louisiana, into Mississippi, into Alabama, into the Florida Panhandle. And then these areas, of course, you got the low pressure with the nor'easter, and then you have that second piece of energy that's coming in from California. All that combines with a good 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inches of rain spread across the Carolinas, through the Ohio Valley, through the Mid-Atlantic, and all the way up into New England. So we got those heavier rains that will unfold, you know, for the next 7 to 10 days. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. I do like this video. Definitely hit the subscribe button and catch me next update while I protect you for and after the storm.